Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And as always, on Wednesday evenings, in just a few minutes, Rich Levinsky is going to be with us talking about consultants in the workplace and some of the things that are affecting them these days. And he always has some interesting thoughts about what's going on in consulting and also in the rest of the world of employment. Lately, we begin with a 15, 20-second recollection of what we need to be grateful for. So stop a minute and think about what you need to be grateful for, what you're grateful for today, what happened today, or what gifts came to you today that you are grateful for. It's hard to be in a lousy mood when you're grateful. You always have to be in a positive mood when you're grateful. So think about it. What are you grateful for? That just lifts you up when you're grateful. We began talking last week about the whole list of practices that are in the book Resilience. This is a phenomenal book. And I've listened to it twice and read it once. And in the back of the book, the end of the book, the authors talk about a whole list of ways that you can practice resilience. And we mentioned the first three things to initiate resilient role models, to cultivate positive emotions and optimism, to face our fears, to learn from failures. Today, I'd like to discuss a couple of three things that they mention next. And we're going to continue doing these until we exhaust them because they apply to job seekers and employers too, but especially job seekers who are going through difficult times. I often say that there are 14 negative things for every positive things that happen in a job seeking situation. And next to death of a child, death of a parent, uh, death of a spouse, death of a parent, coupled with divorce. Divorce, most emotional thing we do is look for a job, and it can be really daunting and very difficult. And the same things that apply to resilience in life apply to resilience in looking for a job. The next thing that these guys talk about is constructively reframing unpleasant, stressful, and traumatic events. Boy, reframing is a really important aspect of any positive situation. Reframing is taking a negative situation and figuring out what can be positive about it. For instance, if you have a bad interview and you blow it, reframe it and say, okay, what could I have learned from it? What positive things might come out of the negative situation? You have a car wreck. Well, maybe I need a new car anyhow. The reframing, putting it in the aspect of what can be positive out of the situation, what can make it, instead of seeing the negative of it and making it negative all of the time, and from then on being negative, reframing it. Well, I'm free of that situation. I'm free of the stress of that, of trying to get a job at that company. Why don't I move on to the next situation? Reframing is one of the most important aspects of a positive attitude that people can learn to do later or they can learn to do sooner. The sooner we learn to reframe things, the better off we are. Some of us learn to do it naturally, and then we come to the awareness that we've learned to do it, and then we learn to do it, then we do it all the time. The sooner we learn to do it and put it in a positive light, the better off we are. Next thing they mention is seeking out social support and build our support network. That means finding people that support you, that help you out. Spouses can do a very good job of this. They can also be a very poor job of it, but we won't talk about that in this situation. We'll talk about that in another session. But people really support you, listen to you. People that are listening to this, that are helping somebody find a job, just listening to somebody, not necessarily having an answer for them. There's a tendency, I know that males have a tendency to always have an answer for their spouses. That sometimes their spouses can be complaining about things or talking about things that happen to them. And us men have a tendency to want to fix things. So we want to have an answer for everything. Sometimes just listening is the answer. That's the only thing that is necessary to do. It isn't necessary to have an answer. Just listening and finding people that are going to listen to you, to empathize with you, to just listen, and finding those people. Oftentimes, when people are having a very difficult time, especially in a job search, they'll go into themselves and they won't share a difficulty at all. I had a cousin one time who was out of a job for a year and never told his wife. When she found out that he had gone through all of their savings, they got a divorce, unfortunately, but he never even told her that he was out of work for a whole year. You've got to share these things with people and find people that are going to help you. Now, that doesn't mean you go to a pity party, and a lot of people do. They go to, woe was me, what happened to me, you know what happened to me, and they do nothing but find people that are going to have pity on them, and they do nothing but complain and gripe and moan about the difficulties in life and the troubles that they've got. That's not right either. But finding people that are going to support them by listening to them and offering suggestions that might be helpful. Wow, we didn't get through many of those, but we'll get through all of them. We will. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashir with the Job Search Solution.